everyone. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today we're discussing We the Women Collective. This women-led performing arts group was created to provide a platform for women in the arts and foster community in Los Angeles through theater. And here to talk all about the collective are its founders, Nathalie Love and Samantha Ressler. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
First, I have to say a happy Women's History Month.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
I feel like
Us,
this is
it's every day of the year, but yeah.
I was going to say when
every
you run something like this, it must be something always on your mind. But since it is Women's History Month, what does that mean to you?
Well, we've been asked this a lot recently. What our company does is obviously try to create a platform and a foundation for women in the arts to showcase their abilities and talents, whether it's writing, acting, producing, set designing. We staff up all female identifying teams. And for us, it just means let's get some new, exciting female voices out there.
Yeah. Well, I think that
Like ditto.
Women are, over 50% of the population and deserve to have their stories represent that. So
Definitely.
that's
And I love the name, We the Women Collective.
Thank
Very
you.
Constitution,
Thank you.
So tell me just the beginning stages, how you guys
Sorry.
decided that this was something you wanted to put your efforts into.
yeah. Well, so it's actually a name that was come up. We came up with it at, I think, probably about 3 a.m. on the night
morning.
before our first ever show, and we needed to create. We needed to come up with a name for ourselves.
We needed to get the invitations
We needed to
out.
get the invitations out. So we played around with a lot of different iterations of that name. I don't know. I don't remember what the other ones
funny.
were.
Yeah, it was a weird situation. So essentially, the very first show that we did was right after the election, and we partnered with Planned Parenthood. And Nathalie and I were just two actresses living in LA, pretty disenchanted with the material that was out there and the way that women were represented in both film, TV, theater. And, unless you're at a certain level, you're not really getting the kinds of jobs or materials that we wanted. And so we decided that we were going to put on a play, and we had created a show together before that we realized that the partnership sort of worked during. We created a show and sold it to Condé Nast Entertainment. It was actually a show for men by women, so sort of like the female version of The Pickup Artist, called That's What She Said. And when we decided that we were going to do a play, we wanted to partner with Planned Parenthood, and we ended up getting, as an in-kind donation, because it was a fundraiser, this huge and beautiful venue that had 1,600 seats. So we tried to figure out how to fill it.
How to fill it.
That's a lot of pressure.
And that is the kind of beginning of the iteration of We the Women, because we needed to fill seats, and everyone we reached out to help us sort of join us in this cause.
Yeah, everyone wanted
Was
to
a
be
woman.
involved in and offer their services, whatever that was. And we just so happened to have grown up in LA. We have a huge network of friends that are artists, costume designers, and visual artists, and directors and writers. I mean, everybody wanted to come together with us and figure out a way to contribute. And so we had a 2-day, basically, essentially it was a festival of sorts. And all of our friends were amazingly talented women, and they all contributed. We had an art gallery where we sold 100% of the proceeds went to Planned Parenthood. We had a merchandise market where all of our female designer friends donated.
Short film.
We featured a short film, and we raised $30,000 for Planned Parenthood in those 2 days, and we did fill that space, and it was an incredible turnout, and it was an incredible experience for Sam and I to realize how many amazing, women that we knew that had incredible talent, and from then on we have worked together with those women, and now we're 3 years later. So
And that would show up for us, so that we weren't We the Women. We weren't a nonprofit organization. We weren't a theater. We didn't know what this was. It was 3 a.m. and we wanted to send out invitations, and it so happened that we had staffed up a team of primarily
women.
female identifying artists, and that was sort of the way the name worked. And I remember Nat that night being like, I don't know about this name. What if we get stuck with it? And I was like, we're not going to get stuck with it. And then 3 years later, of course, like this is
Now I love it.
It's
Yeah,
working.
now we love
It's
it.
totally working.
It works for us.
You guys mentioned all the enthusiasm around your first event. How much do you think that had to do with the timing of it? It was post the 2016 election,
all about
the Women's
timing.
March. I mean, all of that
100%.
stuff was bubbling up. So do you guys just sort of feel like you were able to identify this space in a time when it was
Yeah,
really
we just
needed?
caught the wave right at the tip. We were right there. We were very lucky, but it happened very naturally and was just yeah. I mean, I think it was all about timing. There was an energy and an anger and a movement that was just happening right then and there. And so yes, we definitely that was.
And people needing a place to really kind of safely express themselves. And so I know one of the things that you guys do, or you've done a few times, is the wake.
Oh yes, yeah.
Which is this event that I want to come to next year. Please invite me because
Oh, you are invited.
reading about it and seeing the photos, it just seems like it would be a really fun and entertaining, but also therapeutic evening. So can you kind of take us through that event and why it's something that's become sort of like a staple for you?
Well, I wanted to say that, in addition to it just being that timing and everybody wanting to congregate and everybody wanting to talk desperately about, what was happening in the world and make a change. And, we realized in this first event that like people wanted to come out. They wanted not to like detach from their phones. They wanted to have an actual in-person. They wanted to be involved in this happening, and that's what we had created and continue to create. And the wake, actually, our first ever wake was a smaller iteration of what it's grown into. It was an 85-person seated dinner, and we did it in support of the LA Unified School District. They were losing arts funding, and so we hosted a dinner, and we teamed up with our friend Bess Kalb, who is an incredible writer. She just released her new novel, and she is also memoir, and she is also a writer on Jimmy Kimmel. And Sam, you can explain.
Yeah, so we got together with Bess essentially once we realized that we wanted to do both traditional and immersive theater. My background's more in traditional theater. Nat always had an interest in immersive theater experiences, and we had this concept after our first play for Planned Parenthood that went so well that we wanted our next event to be more of sort of this immersive theater experience. And we teamed up with Bess, and we were just sort of spitballing over dinner and figuring out what we wanted to do. And obviously, so much of our work is political inherently, even though that wasn't necessarily the intent of it. It's just what it's become. And we felt that we had like lost so much as a country. And the three of us sort of conceived of this idea of what if we host a funeral for all the things that died in 2017? And we just decided to do it. And at the time, we the women didn't have the sort of resources or support that it does now. So we decided to do something much smaller. It was an 85-person seated dinner, and we had 8 eulogists. So 8 female writers and comedians basically stood up throughout the course of dinner and perform these eulogies for the things that have died. So we had eulogies for facts, because facts are dead, the earth. My favorite is the ability to just take out your penis without consequence, which Bess actually performed so beautifully at our first one. And so as the concept grew, there is no lack of deaths of things that we're losing now. So we decided to repeat this and do it for 2019. And generously, we were given the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles. And so much of our model is this sort of pop-up performance model. So we love to use different places in Los Angeles. We just did our first thing in New York, so that the city can become a part of what we do. And what Nat said earlier is so true about this, like, personal experience of bringing people together. People want to show up, and We always say we trick people into seeing theater.
What is so specific about the LA community and theater community that makes something like this work so well there?
Well, I mean, I think because it's not. I want to tread lightly, but it's not as well valued as an art form in Los Angeles. I mean, there's so many artists and so many creatives and so much talent in Los Angeles, but they're all kind of vying for a spot on television and in television and film, and that's great. But there isn't a huge theater community, and maybe it's just the way that the city is set up. It's it's much more spread out. There's not like a Broadway. But yeah, I think it is a little behind, but I think it's definitely something that people are really interested in and want. Like that's the response that we've gotten after, like from people who have attended our shows is like, oh, like this is so unique. We never do this. This is what I want to be doing on a Friday night: is meeting new people, having conversations with people. Like, going to see some work that is both funny and creative, but also socially impactful. Like, we want to be engaged in this way, and we're not in Los Angeles. Everybody's in their car bubbles. Everyone's in their, house bubbles, and there is a desire to go and connect. And so I think that's why why I think it's working right now in LA. And there's so much incredible theater going on in LA. It's just not as well known. Like there are definitely pockets, but
also just like the pop-up kind of
the model
world, is so, and to do pop-up theater in this way, I think is just so anybody would want to be a part of.
Well, to go back to Sam saying, we trick people into coming to theater. I mean, part of that is, and I think, I have a little bit more experience in the event background, and having something be limited time only or having it be a short run, people are excited to go do that thing because it's gonna be over next week. And so I think people want to go, yes, experience the theater, but it's also, drinks and conversation and food, and there is an event around it. It is a happening, and that is like the pop-up model. And I think it is the new way. I mean, I think people's attention spans are very limited these days, so I think that the pop-up model really works. And and the work is important to see, so it's good to figure out any way to get people there.
Yeah, and piggybacking on that, like we really try to work with other female-run companies to support the work we do. So at the Wake, for example, we had Yola Mezcal, which is an all-female-run mezcal company, and Gia Wine. And what they did was came up with like fun, innovative names for the drink. So Better Off Dead, because it was a funeral, or, So we work with these other female organizations who run companies and say like, hey, look at what they're doing, and you can find out about it while coming to our shows. And
there is a fundraising aspect to a lot of your events as well, right?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, there was, for sure, and there still is. I think what we sort of realized as we've officially gotten our nonprofit status in the last 8 months, and the company's been around for 3 years, and we keep sort of doing more and more shows, that staffing up female identifying teams is the cause. Like what we do is we create a platform for new and emerging artists to create their content, and we're really excited about that. That's what we just did. We just did a really cool workshop in Los Angeles at the Center Theater Group for Miranda Rose Hall's play Menstruation, a period piece. So we finished that last week, and the whole play takes place in a woman's uterus. It's really just so innovative,
very educational. I did not know anything about my period. I
knew nothing about my period.
Well, now I'm curious. I thought I knew.
I will send you the play. We'll send you the play. It's very informative, and it's also incredibly funny. Yeah. Yes.
How do you guys select what projects are right for We the Women Collective?
Such a good question.
That's a great question. We're figuring it
out. The model changes like we do. At first we're only going to do traditional theater. Okay, we're going to do traditional theater and immersive theater. Okay, wait, we're going to do a short film and staff up an all-female team. We're going to do a music video. Like, really what we do is create a platform for female identifying artists, and the material we choose right now, there's a very small team of just 4 of us, but we just read a lot of stuff and things that feel really exciting and innovative and, like Nat said, socially impactful. I mean, with Miranda's play, I had never read anything that took place in a woman's uterus. So right from the get-go, I was like, this is so cool. This is so interesting. And
it was like that movie Inside Out, that animated with all the emotions. It's like every thing inside of the uterus has
follicles,
the progesterone. It's very
funny,
but it's funny and it's educational. And also, we also read a lot of work that is amazing and incredible, and maybe not for us, but we have such good relationships with some of these bigger theaters that we are, we're always kind of trying to share and pass it along to, there might be some theaters that this work will be right for, and so we're very community. But we read a ton of material.
How important is that community? Because you guys are both performers and actors, and I know that going out for auditions and all of that just gets really stressful, I hear. Yeah. How important is that community of people who are like-minded and also pursuing creative endeavors and just like having that support system?
Well, I'll tell you, the reason why we started this whole thing was because we were disenchanted by the whole, and so anxious and feeling so, kind of just bummed on the whole experience. So, and we created this as a way to, not sit on the sidelines, actually take action, actually like do something that we cared about, actually throw ourselves into the community, so that, we didn't feel so alone. It's why we partnered. But yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible to be just in the process and to have something to put our energy into while we are in the waiting game trying,
And the artists that we work with are so unbelievably proactive as well. So, I mean, they come to us and say like, hey, I have this thing. I mean, we worked with an artist who performed a eulogy at the wake. She ended up writing and performing her own eulogy. Her name's Stacey Osei Kufor, and she's not just a writer for TV. She writes for Pen 15 and for Watchmen, but she was a playwright originally. And she sent us one of her plays, and we were just blown away. And the only reason that we found out about this was because she performed a eulogy at our wake for Progress, and we sort of fell in love with her and said, like, we want to work with you more. And next thing you know, she sent us a great play. And it's, these women that we work with are so talented and they're doing so much. And if we can produce some of that material, that's the goal. And then they introduce us to other artists. I mean, that's what's been so incredible.
A growing, it's definitely, it's growing and growing, and in such a wonderful, natural, positive way. It's just all kind of word of mouth, and it's like a big family.
What has been the biggest thing you guys have learned? Because you've mentioned how much it has evolved and changed as you guys have evolved and changed. What's the biggest thing you've learned from running this business?
For me, I always felt like if I did anything other than just acting, I would be less of an actress or something. And the way that I feel like as a producer, as a partner, as a person promoting other people's work, it feels like I finally have such a sense of agency and purpose, and I love it. I didn't know I could ever love anything as much as I love acting, and like We the Women just has completely changed that.
That is so cool. Yeah. It's one of those things, like if you're doing what you love, it doesn't matter. Like you're still doing what you loved, just like in a different format, sort of.
Yeah. Well, it takes the ego out of it, I think. It's just, it's really, I feel like for me, and I second what Sam said, I definitely was, it's really, I realized that my purpose was more than just, my purpose is being a connector, and that community is so important to me as a person. Like, that gives me purpose, and I think that, just.
I mean, it's crazy. We're such babies. We cry so much, but we're so moved by the material that some of our content creators have created. Like, sometimes we just sit and look at each other and we're like, this is so beautiful. I can't believe this was created for us. I mean, we have an artist who created a spoken word musical sort of piece about her journey to body positivity, and she performed it at our Evening of New Works about a year and a half ago, which is sort of an elevated talent show. So we had all different forms of content, so from spoken word to dance to music to short plays that haven't been produced. And this particular artist, Melanie Field, wrote and performed this original piece about body positivity. And since doing it with us, she's performed it like 5 or 6 times, including yesterday at the International Women's Day event. It was so cool. And she came to us and said, I want to turn this sort of into a music video, and let's make this. And we're so excited. We've never made a music video. We just haven't. That's not something we've ever done. But now we're producing this because we think that so many people can relate to her journey and the story that she's told about her own experience. And that to us is like
the coolest. Yeah.
We're so excited, and we've never done it before, and we're lucky she's trusting us with it.
Definitely.
So is that something that we can maybe expect to see this year sometime?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the plan?
Yes.
So if there's some other...
Expected in the next couple months.
Oh, okay. So soon. All right. So if there's women who are watching or listening today, and they're interested in either collaborating with you guys or coming to your events, what is sort of the best way to learn more?
Definitely follow us at We the Women Collective on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Visit our website at www.wethewomencollective.com. If you're in LA, we have 2 upcoming events, one in April and one in May.
Yes, we are screening a short film that we produced last year. Sam is in it as an actress. Mm-hmm. And we staffed up an all-female team, female-identifying team. It was quite exciting and a completely different energy on set than I've ever been on. It was really cool and, and surprisingly hard to find a female gaffer, but they do exist. So make the effort. They're out there. It's not impossible to staff up an all-female team. So we're screening those. We're doing 2 screenings of that. It's called Debbie. So
it stars Kate Burton, and she plays. She's the greatest, but she plays a drug dealer who deals drugs to the LA community in order to help her dying best friend. And it sounds like it's not a comedy, but it is. It is a comedy. And she's incredible in it. And the writer and director, it was her directorial debut, is Nikki Schwartzwright. And so we are screening that with another wonderful, wonderful company called Women Under the Influence, who are supporting us and doing it at the Noya House. And then another collaboration with The Wing. So everyone's invited. And then
a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So we're doing a little kind of another evening of new works at the Wing, where we're going to have a spoken word artist and a musician and a screening of this short film. And
then hopefully we're going to try to do the Wake annually. We're also going to try to do this elevated variety show, talent show that we talked about, the Evening of New Works, and the larger Evening of New Works in September, hopefully. And we're also hoping in between then to produce a play, which we haven't yet found, but...
We do one big pop-up production every year. It'll probably be in the June slot, but we haven't announced the play that we're doing, but stay tuned because we have some really amazing contenders.
Stay tuned. I think what I'm taking from all this conversation is something you just said about making the effort And I think we're seeing that more and more in Hollywood and the entertainment space, with people just making the effort to make sure that storytelling is more inclusive and more representative of underserved communities. And I just really think what you guys have put together is so cool. And it seems like such a collaborative, creative space. So good luck with all your events. I really look forward to see what you guys have coming up. And for more information on We the Women Collective, visit www.wethewomencollective.com. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.